Hello everyone, welcome to my channel Fashioniksha. Leave about 2.5 to 3 inches. Here I am leaving about 3 inches from the edge. And draw a line. We are making a back pattern first, so I will draw a line by leaving a gap of around 3 inches from the edge of the paper, and this line will be considered as center back line. From the top, leave about 1 inch gap and draw a line. So this is a default line where we starting, and this will be considered as a waist line. And now from the waist line, measure the length of the skirt. The length of the skirt here I am making it for 20 inches. So mark it here 20 inches plus 1.5 inches for the bottom hem fold. So here once the marking is done, draw the bottom line. So this is the bottom line and bottom hem line, the folding line. Here I left 1.5 inches. The reason to leave 1.5 inches, so bottom should be folded at 1 inches. The 1 inches is what the hem bottom fold is required, so I am leaving a 1.5 inches. So usually for the skirts, 1 inches of the hem fold will look good rather than having a half an inch. So I am leaving a 1.5 inches for the bottom fold. Measure from the waistline the hip depth or a hip level, what we call, that is the measurement from waist to hip. Waist to hip is 8 inches. I am marking over at the 8 inches and draw a line across. So now we got all the lines: waistline, hip line, this is hip line, and this is bottom line, and this is bottom fold, or we can say hemline fold. So just mentioned as a hemline. And once we got all these lines, so measure the hip measurement. So hip measurement is 36 inches. So 36 divided by 4 is 9 inches. 9 inches plus half an inches is for the ease allowances. So marking over here at 9.5. And once the 9.5 is done, the hip measurement is marked. So draw down a line to a bottom and the hemline, and also draw up a square up to a waist line as well. Okay, so at the waist line, mark the waist circumference. So that is waist measurement is 28 inches. So that is 7 inches and plus 1.5 inches as the dart which I am giving you over here. So 1.5 inches. So that gives a proper curve shape rather than giving a 1 inches. So I 1.5 inches and I just mark which I already shown. And once after the measurements are done, so use a hip curve scale to draw down from waist line to a hip line. Join this having a proper curve. And now from this waist point, increase about half an inches up for the waist curve shape. So once after the increase, just draw a straight line for the curve shape and use a hip curve to draw the curve shape for the waist. Locate a midpoint of the waist. So it's 8.5. So midpoint is 4.25. So once you locate the midpoint, draw down a line till hip line. This is a dot line. once this dot line is done, draw a dot of 6 inches down, so marking at the 6 inches, just 2 inches above from the hip line. Then the 1.5 inches which we left for the dot allowance, mark 3/4 inches on either side of the dot line and draw a dot shape. Giving about 2 inches for the slit marking. So take the height of around 6 inches slit. This again depends upon the individual requirement, how big you want to give a slit. And slit width I given at 2 inches. If you want to reduce, yes, of course you can reduce, but preference is like 2 inches, so that inside a lining will not be seen, and also you can have a contrast lining as well, so that gives a different look. Once this is done, just 1/2 inches down, see, you can see the straight line, just as a diagonally you can mark it on 1/2 inches down, like across, for the slit marking. So this completes the back pattern of the skirt, regular straight line skirt. Once after completing the drafting, so make sure to draw or mention the terminologies, that is a grain line, back cut 2 pieces. So because we are giving a back slit as well, and then we are giving at the back opening with a zip. So if you want to have a zip at the sides, yes, of course you can have a zipper at the sides. Either ways, whether you are giving a zip at the back or at the sides, you have to have a 2 pieces cut to make the skirt. So now cut the pattern accordingly and trace the same pattern to make the front one. This is how it looks. So here in the back pattern, I have given a 1.5 inches dart allowances. So it can be given in 1 inches also, or before giving a dart allowances, you need to check what is the difference between the hip measurement and the waist measurements. Here in my measurements, the waist measurement is 28 and the hip measurement is 36, so almost 8 inches difference. So that is the reason I have given a 1.5 inches in order to allocate to the proper hip measurements with the proper fullness. So if it is like 6 inches, 5 inches differences, then 1 inch dart is more than enough, so that allocate to that body shape accordingly, and that holds good enough. So before giving the dart allowances, please do remember the difference between the waist measurement and the hip measurement, so that helps you to give the dart allowances. So once it is done, fold this slit mark inside. Now trace the pattern as it is. So use a scale to trace it better, so it gives a neat finish rather than doing it freehand. Just draw this. Waist marking. Use any sharp object to trace the dart marking line. I am just using the scissor to mark the dart line and the dart measurements. Mark this hip line, bottom line. So once this is done, draw all the basic lines, that is hip line and the bottom folding line and the waist line. Now this is the waist measurements which you already marked. So in the back we gave 1.5 inches dart allowance. So as we are doing it in the front, we are reducing the dart allowances to 1 inches. So the waist measurement is 28 inches, that means 7 inches, 28 by 4, 7 plus 1 inches, that is 8 inches. So we have already reduced about half an inches for the front. And now draw this shape and again increase this shape over here to mark the shape over. Draw a dart line, and here, so this is the point where we given it, this is a dart length which we gave for the back. Now for the front, reduce the dart length. So front we don't need that much shape what we require at the back. So just to have a flattened shape and neatly fit it to your body, we are gonna reduce the dart length, whatever the 1 inches we are given. So mark that 1 inches. So dividing it like either side of the dart line, half of inches on either side of the line, and dart measurements decrease and make the dart length of 4.5 inches. And also if you want to reduce it still, you can reduce it to 4 inches as well. So I am marking here at the 4 inches for the front dart length. So this completes the front pattern. Mark or mention the terminologies, a grain line and unfold, and name the front, cut one piece. Once it's completed, cut it accordingly and then mark on the fabric. Once after the marking is done, keep it on the fabric. When you are keeping the patterns on the fabric, make sure to keep the front on fold, which we already mentioned, on fold, and then bottom we already given a bottom folding allowances, that is 1.5 inches, so we don't have to give any extra allowances at the bottom. And on sides we can give half an inches. Half an inches is a standard, and if you want to increase in any of the future, if you want to increase it in next size, so please give a 1 inches, so that gives allocation. So in future you can increase the size of the skirt. And waist you give only half an inches is more than enough. And so this is what is the allowances that you need to give at the front part. And then back, so you already given 1.5 inches at the bottom, so no seam allowances. At the sides you have to give 1 inches, and if you are given a 1 inches at the front, same thing will be carried for a back pattern as well. Side seam 1 inches, and at the waist so half an inches, and on the center back half an inches, and the slit part half an inches on top and the side of the slit. So this is what is the allowances that you need to give at the time of cutting on the fabric. Thank you.